What? What's up, you guys? Thanks for being here at Dating to Marriage Support. I am wife coach Lady Di. If you are new here, please like this video. Also, if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. So today's topic, you already see, we're talking about marriage after the age of 30. So I wanted to bring this out because there are women who seek marriage at a certain age, but there are others that would say, hey, maybe you should wait until you're 30 to get married. Then you have some people that say, hey, maybe you should get married when you're earlier. So the question is, what is a good age? Is it okay, to seek marriage after 30, being that people say earlier is better, or is it better to wait till you're 30? So I have a special guest today. Her name is Shez Sharday. If you haven't seen her, she is a content creator herself, and she promotes marriage, very positive. So I'm about to bring her on. Hey, what's up?
Going.
It's going good. I'm just trying to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
thank you for having me.
yeah, of course. And yes, Chef Sharday, can you tell us about your channel?
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me. Share Day here. I am a femininity channel. And I talk about a lot of different things. Obviously, femininity, marriage, relationships, spirituality, Black culture. I talk a lot about Black culture, trending events. There's a myriad of things that I focus on, but my primary aim is to address issues that I feel like impact women and specifically Black women. So yeah, that's what I'm about.
Okay, good. That's what's up. So I have you here today because I know we had a conversation before, and you said that you actually got married at the age of 30. Was it two, or what age was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So were you dating in your 30s and you found your husband that way?
Mhm.
Okay. So you guys dated pretty, like, what? How long? A year, 2 years?
About 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years. So a year into it, he proposed, and we were supposed to get married within 2 years, but then the pandemic happened, and that basically pushed my wedding off like a full year, pretty much. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
insane. The COVID definitely messed up a lot of weddings.
a lot of people.
There's so many people say that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's amazing that you were still able to make it happen. So did you do a traditional style where you went to the courthouse and brought the paperwork to the wedding and got married there?
Well, we didn't do it at the courthouse. I was not trying to do it at the courthouse. I wanted a celebration. So we had a celebration. We actually ended up doing it like out of state thing because California was just like literally I think I had like two different venues that we had booked and got everything set, and then it canceled. And if you know anything about wedding planning, it's hard enough to find a venue and find vendors and solidify dates. So for that to happen and then it cancels, and that happened two times, it
Ooh.
ended up doing somewhat of a destination wedding at another state where I had more family friends and they just had less COVID restrictions. So
So it probably worked out better that way.
it did, it did because it was California is great, and also it's not only is it super expensive, like if to do certain things, it just requires all these extra licenses, and it can be a real headache depending
Yeah.
on what you want to do. So where we went, it just was a lot more inclusive, a lot less regulations, and just a lot more relaxed. So
Okay,
yeah.
well, that's amazing. So I kind of want to get into the dating aspect first because there are women who are like, oh, it's hard to date when you're 30 and up. So I would like for you to try to shed some light on that. But I want to play a few videos before I get into it and
Sure.
see if you've had similar experience.
Okay.
So let's see. Let me get the video up. Here we go. All right.
I see another um stupid, oh my gosh, honestly, I can't. 5 texts and make him obsessed with you. Oh, this is how you make him chase you. Oh, this is what you need to do to see if he's into you. Don't have time. Don't have time for that. Here's what you need to do if you're looking to attract your husband this year, okay? And this is only women who want to get married, okay? Listen to me. First, you got to be living your best friggin' life. Your energy is high, your attraction is high, and high value men will come out of the woodworks, period. Second, Get online. I don't care. It works. This is a setting where you'll be able to attract multiple men at a time and see which one works best for you rather than you trying to make it work with one. Create the connections that have you checking everything off your list by owning what you want. Don't be afraid to use your voice, because the person who responds is the person who wants the exact same thing.
So let's talk about the first part. She's saying live your best life and your man will come and find you. Did you do something like that?
We know it's so funny because, I mean, I guess when I was dating my husband, like I wasn't on social media. I wasn't listening to Kevin Sam. I wasn't listening to all these you hit the wall. It wasn't like that for me. I just was kind of living life. And I will say that, and this is, a whole nother topic, but there was a lot of years in my 20s where I didn't date. And I look back on that and I was like, that was a horrible decision. But I was connected to some different religious churches who were like, just wait on God and just basically don't do anything. God's just going to send your husband like to your doorstep. So I wasn't really engaged for many, many years, which is probably why I got married a little older, just because I was given like the worst dating advice ever. So when I started actively getting in, I couldn't really identify with a lot of the complaints, a lot of the concerns that other women had, because I had just been so off the market for so long. And like when I finally opened up the doors, I had no issue getting pursuit, or I had no issue getting attraction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're pretty and you're natural. So it was easier. Yeah. So when I heard her say live your best life, I would assume that consists of a lot of dating and messing around in the bed. I don't know exactly what she meant by that, but I wouldn't suggest anyone who is still 30 and seeking, do not live your best life where it consists of you in the bedroom with other men, so much.
No. I don't. And like, to be fair, like when I said I was not engaged, like disengaged from dating, like I wasn't sleeping around, none of it. Like I was completely like just disengaged. Like,
that's good.
Well, it's good. And again, I say this from as a perspective of somebody who's been in church my entire life, still very much is involved, but now having walked through that process and knowing that, like, I don't think church culture can be really good at helping to teach women how to utilize their best years. Like, there's definitely things that I probably would have done different, but under the guidance of women who got married when they were like 12 and didn't know anything about the dating and mating market, like all this old school advice that applied maybe like in the freaking 40s. And it just, it just was bad. So, like I said, for me, when I was disengaged, I was completely disengaged. It wasn't like I was sleeping around, hot girl. I was not. I was very much like, okay, I'm going to Bible study, like Jesus dates, like all that stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Get into some of this, the chat. What's up, D? What's up, Misery Loves Company, Conquer Network? He says, what's up, Di and Shez? So someone, Conquer says, live your best life doesn't sound safe. No, I don't think.
I don't agree. Yeah, from the modern day context, heck no.
Yeah, no.
That generally means just sleep around, and then once you've been all tired and worn out and broke your back, then find a high value man to pay your medical bills.
Oh gosh,
nobody wants that.
That's true. Someone said, Missy Loves Company says, church love keeping people single. Shaking my head. Yeah,
unfortunately,
I agree. So if you didn't have that, I guess that advice, you probably would have been married at 20 something for sure.
Well, it wasn't just that, because the woman in my family got married and they were very much on this, we don't want you to feel like you have to get tied down so soon. So I come from a family of educators where education was a big thing, and they were like, just focus on school, focus on your career. That'll just happen. Yeah. And like I said, for back in old school days where people were just marrying people next door, or gender roles were still very defined, and then were pursuing women, and there wasn't the fear of like Me Too or all this gender neutrality stuff. just doing your thing and it'll happen kind of made sense. That worked. But it just didn't work for my era. So I was getting that from home, just like focus on school, don't really worry about that. And then it was being reinforced in some of my different religious settings. And so I can look back now and say, as a young woman, I probably would have wanted to have gotten married, but I just was listening to everybody else. I'm naturally a compliant person. I was listening to some of the different elders, and they didn't give me the instruction on how to do that.
Yeah, I agree. It was like that for me too, honestly. Like people were saying, oh, there's so many men to choose from. Girl, just wait.
Yeah.
You're too young. Then they'll advise me, oh, I got married when I was young, but see, I'm divorced now. Like,
exactly.
I'm like, but why did you get divorced? How about you just say, hey, this is what we did and this is why, instead of saying, don't do it. Like everybody that get married young gets a divorce. Like that's not even reality.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And also, by the way, Black women in general just tend to marry older. And I don't know if it's maybe some of these reasons, because we do have maybe aunts, mothers, grandmothers, older friends, whatever, who and that focus is just like, girl, get your bag, get your stuff, whatever. But Black women, I think the average marrying age for Black women is like 32, if I'm not mistaken. So we do, not only are we not really marrying, when we do marry, we tend to marry older.
Yeah, that's true. It is very true. And then a lot of people, they're living the married life, quote unquote, because they have a whole bunch of kids. You know what I'm saying? You get the kids and you got the man, and it's like, all right, but where's the ring? Where's the wedding? Where's the marriage?
Me personally, I don't really see that as, I mean, they have the right to their own experience, but I guess if I'm coming from like a marriage from a spiritual standpoint, it's like, unless you guys have, committed, literally, you, God, whatever, like you've made that life commitment, then like, to me, playing house is not the equivalent to an actual marriage. It's just, personally.
That's how it is. Like they would have the baby and then they just like, okay, I'm gonna stick around until he wants to marry me. That's not how that works at all. My story is completely different. I actually lived with my boyfriend at the time, husband now, the entire time, but it was more like an arranged setup. So we dated and in a relationship at the same time we lived together.
Okay.
That doesn't happen. And we weren't even like doing like, okay, we're about to have kids. I didn't have kids until after I got married. But it was more like, that's just what happened for us. And so everyone is different. Like you can live with someone and see, okay, cool, is this the right person? Because for me, I'm like, you got to know behind them closed doors, in my opinion, based off of the society. Now for you, cool, it worked out. And it probably because you was a lot older. I got married when I was 25. So at that age, 20-year-olds, they're different. You got to like, all right, are you ready? Because we about to do this thing. When you get a little older, you're like, okay, I am ready to get married. This is what I want to do. Yeah. So I feel like you finding somebody at that age, it shouldn't be, no, we got to live together and all this stuff. No. Okay. You want to get married? Are we compatible? Cool. Let's go do it. It's easy.
Yeah. For sure. Past a certain age, I think level of maturity or understanding yourself, like you don't really have time to play around with certain things. You just kind of know when you don't know. So I do agree with that for sure.
You do. Yeah. What's up, Stefan? How you doing? Thanks for being here once again. And Dee says, I feel people date just to date instead of dating to marry. Exactly. Hence, that's why I called this channel Dating to Marriage. But let's get into some more videos. Let's see.
This is for all my girlies that went through middle school, high school, and maybe even college, and nobody wanted to date you. Because hi, it's me too. While it was super traumatic in the moment, now that I'm looking back, I'm realizing that not being consistently coupled with somebody during those formative years put me in a position where I had to develop a personality and a form of autonomy, self-identification, and community. And I didn't realize how many people, women specifically, even more if you're attracted to men, are struggling with this. Like, as a woman, I knew that a lot of men weren't going to like me. So I had to learn how to like myself, have fun with myself, create a relationship with myself, and then create community to have a fulfilling life, with or without a man. Like, does this resonate with anybody else? Because I feel like it has to.
Yeah, very. What do you think about what she said? Because You said a whole lot of stuff there.
She didn't say a whole lot of stuff. I will say this, speaking from my own experience, and some of my friends can attest to this. There would be times where I'd be out, hanging out with my friends or whatever, and would get the male gaze, like guys who were legitimately interested or wanted to talk to me. And but my persona or the vibes I was giving off was like, keep out, like do not engage, whatever. Like I was giving off that era. And I remember there was one friend in particular who, she saw me at the gym. And she pulled me aside one day and she was like, girl, why do you look mean? And she started kind of like, she started laying into me. And she was like, if I was a man, I wouldn't want to approach you because you look mean. You should just like smile. Like literally, this is what she said. And I had never thought about it, but I went home and I thought through that and I was like, oh my gosh, what I started to find out was like, there were some different insecurities and different thoughts about myself that I had never really addressed, and that those were the different things that were giving me all these weird vibes, honestly, that when I would be around men, especially men that I found attractive, I would shut down. I would like look the other way. Like I would be very stoic. Like I wasn't giving like choosing signals at all. Like I didn't know how to do that. Even like one of my ex-boyfriends, he found out, I think, the grapevine that I was attracted to him, and he was like, I'm shocked. He's like, I know women. He was a very attractive guy, like ladies' man. He's like, I know women, and I got zero vibes from you. So that's so I say that because that's just my own experience. But I have to wonder how many women, Black women, because we are not known to, be soft or feminine, we're not known for that. And there's different reasons. If you grow up in a dangerous environment, you smiling all the time can make you a target. So I get that. There is a level of that, but some of us, I think, don't really rest in our femininity. We don't really know how to. And that hardness can come off.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to take into consideration, based upon the way she was talking and what she said, I wonder if she was in a predominantly all-white environment or if she was in where she was the token Black person, because that's going to be different. You being surrounded by white folks, or even, a more multicultural environment, we may see all this marketing online with interracial dating and interracial marriage, and that happens on a very small scale. But by and large, white people are still attracted to white people. By and large, Asians are still attracted to Asians. Like people are still generally attracted to their own ethnicity. And so, if you're a Black girl and you're in an all-white environment, you might start to feel not as beautiful if the top jocks, right, or the most attractive guys in the school happen to be white, and by the way, they're also choosing other white girls.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So there's different dynamics to this. And then of course you'll have that one token Black guy who ends up with a white girl, and then you're just like, see, even Black men are going for Becky, and then you go online and you see the passport bros, and they're like, oh, y'all broads suck. And so it's
so much right out there. Like
there is.
The dating market is like, it's crazy rough now. Yeah,
it is rough, and I think it's always been a little bit. I can never think of the time where the dating market was just like easy. Even you,
of course,
old folks, they'll have their own stories, but it's like a different level of insanity that I don't know that the world is used to. And then you target that with the fact that we have these devices, we have phones, to where now people's crazy thoughts used to be hidden, behind closed doors or in their own brain, and now those crazy thoughts are online for you and me to watch freely.
Yeah, that's true. So, people are so they'll post anything online, so you can catch a whole bunch of stuff before you even date them. Just look on their social media account, just like a job will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you said a lot of things, but as far as your friend telling you to smile, she saved your life. Don't you agree? That's therapy, girl. Because and then you were such a great listener that you're like, what? I've never heard of this. And you took the initiative to let me dig deeper. And that's amazing for you. That's hence why you're a wife, because you're able to take something, let's say a criticism, and put it into something positive. And that's why I think a lot of women that I see are lacking in that. Like men would tell them something that could help change their life too. And they're like, no, you can't tell me what to do. You can't. But you didn't do that. So applaud you for that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, and I was just going to say, I think I agree. And this was from a friend of mine, white girl. She actually got married later too. She got married like in her, I think, late 30s.
Okay.
So I think women in general are getting married later, which is why when I hear this whole thing about, the danger zone and all this different stuff, I very much think this is a response to feminism, right? Where men are just like, look, we've heard y'all tell us all the time what you want. It's about time you hear what we want. And so I do think women need to understand what men like. Yeah, a lot of men prefer younger women. A lot of men prefer pretty women. So when you're making these decisions as to whether or not I want to focus on my career, and then once I hit 40, date, if the market you're going into doesn't like 40-year-olds as much, then you want to weigh that a part of your option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I hear this, it's like, I think, to your point about dating and this complicated dating market, it's good to take all this information in and use it as a way to be self-reflective. But I think the ultimate goal, and in my opinion, is really, I think at any age you can find love. I interviewed a woman like in her mid-50s, I think, she married, I think, like a 52, 53. I'm not saying that's ideal, but she did some inner work, and then she found a man that was willing to marry her, and she's a stay-at-home wife. She loves it. She's at peace. And so it's like, literally at any age you can find love if it's something you want. If you're a quality woman, there's probably going to be men out there who are willing to date and marry you because the pickings are so slim. Like, and it's rough out here. So quality women, I think, now are going to stick out even more, and to a certain extent, it's more of an opportunity for them to shine in the midst of a culture that is literally filled with this whole thought 3 or 4 Tiana stuff. You know what I
mean? Yes, it is. And I agree with, like, any age anyone could seek you and be married, but getting married younger, and 30 is not like completely old. 40 is when you're like, okay, 40, and then you're past that age, like, where you can, like, bear children if you haven't already, because that comes into play if you're looking to have kids after 40. But getting married just a little younger, let's say in your 20s, will help benefit, I guess, the part where you're saying men like youthful looking women, they're more attractive, and then you're just less bodies. I hate to say it like that. You say you wasn't out there like that, but there are women who in their 20s, that's what they're doing. They're running up their numbers and they're like, oh, I'm ready. Come take me now. And it's like, that's the wrong way to do it. If you're going to wait till you see, find the right guy, you don't have to do all that. You could wait and kind of like what Shez did. She didn't do that. She kind of saved a little bit, like, okay, cool. I know I got to get married and this is what I want to do. Why should I waste my 20s with people I don't even like and you're not even with them? And then create kids. So it's hard out there, but you guys, you don't have to do it that way. Let's see. D says, people tell me the same thing. You look mean.
Take notes.
Take notes, because not looking approachable, there's no way that you're going to sit here and go date and you're looking like, why am I here? No one is going to take you serious. And unfortunately, and I guess that's what that lady was saying in the previous video, you have to look up, first of all, attractiveness does not look mean. You're attractive with a pretty bright smile or whatever it is that you're showing off, not just your looks. You're not looking good if you're not smiling, right?
Well, and again, I can use myself as an example. Literally, it seemed like after she told me that, I did a little self-reflection, and it was like the doors were wide open. It was like, I'm getting all this interest, and I don't know if it's because I was maybe more aware of it, I was more open to it, or whatever. But it was like things totally changed. I was going to the exact same grocery stores, looking the exact same way. Like, it wasn't like I had, lost a whole bunch of different weight or did certain, like, nothing about me really physically had changed whatsoever. And it wasn't like I was on more dating apps. It was just that simple mindset change for me made a huge difference.
Yeah, and just looking more pleasant. If you guys are listening, just being and looking more pleasant. She just said she went to the same places. People are like, wow. So that's the lesson learned, because a lot of women are like, I'm gonna have my resting bitch face, whatever. He just gonna have to deal with it, whatever. But it's like, really, do you have to do that? And this is definitely a great lesson that we're trying to teach you guys. You don't have to look that way. Look approachable. Yeah. Misery Loves Company says, yeah, you don't know what attitude you are going to get from people these days.
Right. And that's why I think, especially now, in the midst of everything going on, the gender war online, which is, like, to a certain extent influencing or brainwashing people, Me Too movement, post Me Too movement, this whole gender norm, fluidity, sexual harassment, all of that. And so a guy, just like a guy, even if he wants to approach a woman, especially if he's a God-fearing man or wants to try to do things in a way that he thinks is going to be honorable, it's super complicated and quite scary. So sometimes I think things like literally smiling or being pleasant or kind of giving like visual cues, like it's safe over here, can be really helpful for me. So
it's true. And just think about it. These guys go up to many women, every week. So for him to want to come up to you, you got to look like you're going to say hi back. Let's be real. Because if you look at it the other way around and you're that guy, why would you go up to somebody and they're looking like, mean and straight face? Like, you're gonna be feeling kind of like, damn, I'm gonna get rejected. Because that's the next step. Even if you're looking pleasant, the person still could say no. So it's still a risk to go up to somebody and say anything. Just think of like if you're in a new environment or you went to a new school, like when you were younger. Wasn't it the feeling of just the anxiety, like, oh my gosh, I'm so new. I don't know if people are gonna like me. That's how it is when these guys come up to you. So being having a certain look is important. And make sure whoever is out there do that. Make that change. If you are the one where people saying you look mean, don't do it no more. Look as pleasant as you could be. No, you don't have to smile with teeth. You could just look approachable. Like Shez is doing that all the whole time on this video. So just pay attention to how she looks. That's a good example. I'm sorry. Okay. Hey, cousin. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Aww.
He says, I'm 34 and my wife is 42. I did not know that. Wow. And she looks 25. Okay. She does look good. Yeah.
That's one thing about it. We stay good look, especially if we take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So. She does. Very pretty naturally as well. As You Love Company said, it's the small things that count. Yes. What the fuck? What's up? Thanks for being here. Hey, looking forward to this conversation. Yes, we are pretty much getting started. Absolutely. Okay. So there's just a few more videos and then I have questions for you as far as your marriage, but let's get into it.
I don't know what's going on with this generation, but I'm not about to text you for weeks on top of weeks on top of weeks before we decide to go on a date. It's either we go out and we converse face to face or we don't. Because before the pandemic hit, I mean, really old school. I don't know how many people are in their 30s that are like friends with me. But when we meet somebody in public, in person, you get to converse with them then. You get to see whether you want their number then. Like this whole new, I'm gonna text you for like 3 weeks to a month before we go on a date. Baby boy, get off my line. Get off my line, because if we can't link up and do something for free, then I don't have time to be texting you every day because I'm just not doing that.
Okay, so the ending was kind of funny, but so dating online versus traditional dating. What did you do?
You're saying, what did I do?
Yeah, dating online, or did you like meet in person?
Yeah, I tried online dating, which I see nothing wrong with. I also did, I'd meet person at a store, ask for my number, I would say that, the way my husband was in person, it was kind of like somewhat of a setup I didn't know about.
Okay.
But, yeah, we met in person. So then there wasn't this like, okay, we're going to talk and text for heck long and then we meet, because it was like we met in person. So
okay, so meeting in person, and then it was kind of like the next time you guys met was in person.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's more traditional. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would. So I've never did the online dating thing. Like I said, I got with my husband at 22. So they did start up that dating thing online, but we were connected as well. So I can only speak about what my friends have told me, and then the success rate that I've been seeing from my friends and then clients as well. Dating online is not bad, as long as you guys are not dating online like a catfish, like you're not on there for months.
Yeah.
It needs to be a straight up initiation of when are we going to meet within that next week or two. You have to vet the person because there are cray people out there.
Legit.
So check their social media. Make sure you have their full name and look at any account that you could find and just check just to make sure. Then when you go, let's say you guys go out to dinner, make sure that you have someone like a friend there. You know, I don't know what they call it. Someone there in the background just watching, and then someone outside. Like you just, as a woman, though, you just never know. You have to protect yourself, right? Any tips you could give on that, Shez?
No, I think that's definitely a good one. Me personally, like if I met somebody on online, I would want to talk to them maybe a couple of weeks. Or I don't want to just like meet you the first day and the next day we're meeting, like unless we're meeting at like a coffee shop during the day in a park, neutral environment. But people are crazy, and I literally watched a Netflix series not too long ago of some crazies from online dating. So you definitely want to be safe. I love the idea of, I would at least let somebody know if they can't actually be physically after the restaurant. I would let them know and be like, hey, I'm about to be at this location at this time for X amount of hours. Call the popo if you don't hear back. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's all. And definitely, you should definitely be Facebook stalking. Anybody who's trying to online date you, you're going to do your research.
Better.
Instagram, all of that. Very important.
Yeah, just don't be going out there meeting people. He's cute. Let me go, and you gotta, and then you got FaceTime, you got Duo and all this stuff. You can meet real quick on the phone, you know what I'm saying? Just to make sure that he's not weird. Look, how it goes. Some people are just awkward and weird. Not that you can't date them, but just to make sure you could wean out people that are actually crazy by seeing how their dynamic, their first impression is. This red flag. So there's a way to do it. Just do it safely. Traditional dating is always better though. Meeting someone either with a mutual friend or like what she said, she was connected somehow, some way. Though that's always better because at least you have someone you can ask about, oh, well, how is this person? Oh, how long have you known them? And kind of get a little bit more insight to see if he is just normal. We just want normal people. So that's the biggest thing. Let me get into some comments really quick. What the Funk says, it would be hilarious if women had to approach men.
It's a free, equal society, right? I don't see why they can't.
Well, if anyone has been watching my channel, you guys know I approached my man. Okay, so
I didn't know that. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, now not in a traditional way, like we're at a grocery store and I'm like, hey, what's up? Not like that. We did know each other as friends. We were friends. Okay. But then I made the first move years later. I made the first move. So I did approach him in that way.
Okay.
Not with them hoop earrings. She looking bout it.
That's hilarious.
Okay. The hoop earrings. Oh my gosh, I used to wear so many hoop earrings back then. I need to incorporate them. Now I see you got your hoop earrings on.
I usually wear it with like my hair's froed out, but maybe I have this by popular demand sweatshirt on and it just felt appropriate.
Okay, I hear that. What's up, Demetrius Thomas? Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. Demetrius says the resting bee face to the disrespectful reaction is most women give you. I swear, as best for me to just leave women alone and worry about myself for now. Right. So that's what most men are going to think about. There's some people that's going to be like, I don't care what she look like. I'm going to just say whatever. But some of those guys are like, nah, you don't want to. Those guys don't care about that. It would be a little weird. Not all of them will be crazy, but for the fact that they want to approach you and you're looking crazy, I mean, come on. So this is what really real guys are thinking about. They're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And this is just a guy here. I'm just reading what he's saying. So with me, I like to listen to what guys say, because why would they lie? Right? This is what they feel. This is how, we always want them to seek how we feel and take it to consideration. But us as women, we have to make sure we do the same. So y'all stop with that beef, bitch, and wrist face and all that. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Get to another video.
Wow, 3 days. with the flow I was creating. All right.
Okay, like so she was dating in her 30s, what she was alluding to. And I guess she's saying it's a little awkward because now she's like, well, what do I do? I don't know what these men like. I'm learning all of this stuff. And this is how I think I should approach it, you know?
You said dating, so she's dating, like dating out or dating interracially in her 30s?
Well, dating her 30s. I don't know if she's
dating
dating.
Okay, I thought you said dating out. Okay.
Okay, yeah. You don't have to be awkward. It doesn't matter. 30 is not old at all. It's just that you're older. So if you're thinking, okay, I don't know what men want, then just talk to them and ask. You have cousins, you have, dads, uncles, whoever that's male figures, they'll tell you, yeah, these men are looking for this. So then just act appropriately. You don't have to do all that weird. She was just being really awkward.
Awkward, yeah. God.
Woo.
And again, I'll tell you, this whole idea of like the wall and 30 being super late to marry, I never heard that until after I was married, and then I think the manosphere blew up, which is why I kind of think, not to say it's invalid, I think it totally is valid, and I do think it's important to take into consideration as young women. But at the end of the day, in a society that's filled with three or fours and thoughts, and that's like the mainstream culture, a beautiful woman that is kind and friendly and nice is not going to have a problem getting a guy to want to settle down with her, even if she's past 30, if she's all those things. So, but I just think some of the stuff we see online, honestly, I think is a bit reactionary. It's like, okay, you said this, okay, I'm gonna try to one up you. Yeah. And let's just find that balance. Men obviously generally are attracted to beauty, and beauty is generally associated with youth. And then if you think about fertility, if you want to have kids, so that is important. But I would never say, I think a woman should marry when she is ready. And I think, and to get her to marry young, ideally she'd be learning those things at home when she is growing, she's getting into her teen years, and she's getting into that stage of her life. That's when she should be really prepped and primed, so that if she does want to marry at 18 or 19 or 20, then she at least has the basic tools. But if you have these women growing up in traumatized situations and they don't know who they are, and all of a sudden they're supposed to just get married and become one with another person, that can be really can cause issues, larger issues in the long run. So you have divorce issues, and then now you got, men who marry these women. It's like they're taking my wealth. So that's why it's like we got to look at these things individually. Yes, there are generalities that we want to take into consideration. We want to know the risks involved, but what we don't want to do is just run and get married just because you're a certain age and then that blow up in your face.
That's true. You said a lot of good things there, especially when you said there are women that are young that had traumatizing childhoods, and then we expected them like, yeah, go get married, girl.
Yeah.
They, a lot of us had trauma, but it's just how you deal with it. So you just have to just look around you. I'm big on learning by observation. That was my biggest teacher. You look around you, look at people's situations. Look at, let's say, single mothers who plan to be single mothers. They got pregnant by a man that wasn't their husband. That's a plan. Yeah. Unless it was oops, but it's still a plan. Yeah. So look at that. Look at how that dynamic is. A lot of those people do not stay together. It's just like that. Do you want to live like that? That's the biggest question you have to ask yourself. Because even though you probably had traumatizing experience when you were young, is that something that you want to have for yourself as an adult? You have to keep the trauma going on. No, you have choices. Just make, a wise choice. You could be 20 in your 20s and figure out yourself. That is the time to do that, because you are not, in a parent's household. Yeah. That's the time to figure out what you want to do with your career. If you are into, seeking a career, because some people want to be housewives, or do you want, what about yourself you could bring to the table if a man approached you? Because beauty is not just going to be the only thing that he's going to say, yeah, she's pretty, so let me wipe her up. No, you have to be kind. There's a lot of things you have to do. So your 20s are to get that together. And when you have it together, like Shez was saying, you have to be ready when you're ready. But ready is, some people say, oh, I'm not ready. And they are ready. They just not ready because they still want to have fun. So don't
Yeah. I hear
right.
you.
Don't let your I'm not ready because you still trying to date a whole bunch of guys and mess around. See, that's different.
That's totally different. And I personally, I just can't identify with that mindset because that just wasn't me. I had other struggles, but like me going out and like sleeping, that's just not how I was raised. That was never really a value system of mine. Now, I knew when I was younger that I wanted to be a wife or stay at home wife, but I didn't really know how to get that. And like I said, I was listening to so many other different people, and then you get in the wrong setting, and they can kind of steer you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And so that's why I can look back and say, yeah, there were a lot of years where I wasn't putting myself in the position to actually get what I wanted.
Right.
And I can own that, but now we have these kinds of conversations. I think it's good, especially young women who are they're trying to do things a certain way. They don't want to do the whole thought culture thing. They want to do it right, or maybe they are in church, or maybe they are, spiritually minded, and they want to try to do things from that vantage point, but still need to be practical with it. So
it's true. Like, there's a difference between someone, let's say I'm using Shez because this is the example for today, right? She the only reason why she's married in her 30s is because people were telling her not to. Okay. If they guided her in the right direction, she would have been married because she's attractive and all of those things, and she's kind, right? It would have happened for her and other things that we're not talking about. But the reason why she's married today, she probably had those, qualities back then. So it's not because she said, I want to be 30 and married. Because some people literally say that. They're like, nah.
Yeah, some people do.
Yeah. And that's not this case. Like, I don't suggest like waiting so late, because if you are trying to have a family, yes, you can have a family in your 30s, of course. But some people are different. Like your bodies, tell you what you could be, what you can actually do. So if you're 30 and you feeling old, right? Because some people, they break down a little earlier. You're the type of lady where you're like, I gained a lot of weight, and I don't know if that would be right. Maybe, you have some type of, things going on like diabetes or whatever. So waiting a little later on purpose is not something smart to do, even if you're healthy. It's a lot that comes into play when you're 30 and married because you want to. Like, there's no like strategy to that. That's not something smart. I think, let's see, Stefan says, I don't think it's smart for women to wait until they're 30s years old to get married. Yeah.
I think I will be honest and say I think there's certain women who they're just not ready until then. Going back to what I said earlier, depending upon whatever particular trauma that woman maybe had growing up, whatever she didn't learn, her experiences. Like, there's some women who legitimately, it's like they're not even good for anybody until they hit a certain age. And so that's why I think really the reason we're even having these kinds of conversations is because so much of society and really the family has broken down.
Yeah.
If there were healthier families where, men and women were being raised when they were young to have some of these values, then I think it would be a lot more natural. People would get married at an age that made the most sense biologically, and we wouldn't have to have all these discussions like, can I still have a baby at 55? You know what I mean? Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
So I think that's the best way, really, younger generations, and kids, like, just instilling those values in them so that when they do enter college, they know, okay, if you want to wait until 30, fine, but here are the risks. I didn't hear that. I had different women who did get married young, and it didn't always work out too well for them. And they thought they were sparing me heartache and sparing me. And so I can look back with compassion for some of the different women, maybe at churches or things, who were trying to steer me in the right direction because of the pain they experienced from marrying when they weren't ready or when they didn't know how to choose. But like I said, there are other risks associated. And to your point earlier, I think a better conversation would be, okay, this is what I did wrong. Here are the different things to work on. You can still get married, but but work on these qualities, not just like, oh, don't worry about it. Just wait in God, wait in the Lord. And it's just all going to just happen as soon as you forget or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to put in work. You could pray and pray, but where's the work? You got to put yourself out there. So Minnie Caught You fills in. What's up, girl? So, all right. I have some questions for you, which will be, what would you say you had a good upbringing? Because that has a lot to do what
Sorry,
you were saying. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
For now, maybe we should do a part 2 on this, because I'm in this, if I'm just being honest, I'm in this space where I am very open about myself, and I'm trying to figure out how much of things involving other people I want to share, because folks is crazy online.
Got you.
And out of respect, out of respect for like my parents and my sisters, I'm still in this place where I'm like honestly trying to figure that out.
Got
So
you.
I know, I would say I think there were some great things that I learned from my parents. I love my mom. I have a great relationship with her. She's done, I think, especially in the last couple of years, she's come back and not honestly shared with me things that she was like, I did wrong. I missed when you were coming of age. And so I can honor that.
Okay. Well,
So,
yeah.
mhm.
I understand. Yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying. I had to figure out my space as well.
Yeah.
At least for me and my channel, I have to be transparent because of what I'm doing. At least what I think, because I coach people for free online. So for people to understand where I come from, it is best for me to be transparent. And my family, they know, and it is what it is on that point. And some of them give me the okay. They're like, yeah, go ahead. I try. Of course, I'm not disrespectful at all.
Yeah. I'll share my experiences and stuff. It's just, finding that line where it's just like, okay, now I'm getting into that person's territory. So it's still, I'm still trying to fill through, but like,
it's hard
all the time.
No, it's hard. Just figure out how to say it where you're not going so deep into someone else's life. I get that. So I do have a surface limit. I never go too far. Like, no, we can't do that.
But yeah, I mean, my parent, they were married coming up, and so like there's basic things that, even the Black folks families, a lot of Black folks didn't even grow up with two parents in the household. I had two parents in the household, so there's like basic things where it's like, okay, I saw that. But still, I'm gonna be honest, like a lot of Black folks, whether they single parent household, 2-parent household, they got some mess to deal with.
Yeah, they do. And there's a lot, like, a reason why I asked that though is because I'm trying to see where you grounded, because some people, like you were saying earlier about the traumatizing experiences. So it's like, can you be a wife with trauma, right? Can you be a wife with less trauma? Because some people feel like men, they're like, if you have too much trauma, we're not doing anything. So I'm just trying to see, as an example for you, because you're married, what is it like for someone that has this type of upbringing? But like I said, this is not the space for us to do it today. But when you are ready or not, just let me know. We can always talk about it.
Well, no, I can share this because I think this actually segues into an interview that I did.
Okay.
With, what was it? Security Boss. And she talked about how marriage actually reveals your trauma to a certain extent. There is no perfect scenario where it's like, okay, I've read through my relationship book, or I've read through my emotional healing, like I'm all right. That doesn't exist. I know white people who've grown up and been in rich families, wealthy families, who have a ton of trauma, poor white people, rich Black folk, poor white, like, so to live in this world is to have some form of trauma.
Right.
I think what's less, or what's more important, is not necessarily maybe the trauma, but how willing is the person to change and grow and evolve. If a person has zero trauma in theory, but is closed-minded, is stubborn, isn't agreeable, isn't willing to learn, that's a no-go. If a person has a ton of trauma, but is open and willing to learn and humble and wants to do better, then take the person with trauma all day, every day. So I think it really has more to do with how you deal with it, because there is no person on this world, even if you go abroad and you try to find a more traditional woman or whatever, you're going to find out somewhere in there, mama said this, daddy did that, uncle did that. Like, there is, because we're humans, and people are going to hurt people. So
right. That's how it goes.
With it.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. It's also good, like, some people may have similar stories like you, or similar stories like me, and they're like, oh, okay, there's hope, because there are a lot of single people out there. But yes, Bella Rings, hey girl, what's up? Thanks for being here. Stefan says, I think most women use trauma as an excuse for bad behavior. Yeah, they're not trying to get out of that behavior. I agree. What's up, Big? Says, what's up, Lady Di? Says, Sade. What's up? What up, man? How you doing? Thanks for being here. Bella Rings was agreeing to things that you were saying there. Um, he says it isn't the trauma itself; it is how she handles the trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's exactly what she was saying. It is because we all handle trauma differently, but there's a way about it. You are going to go through a phase where you're going to have more traumatic experiences by dealing with your trauma. But
Exactly.
then after that, you have to shake it off rather quickly because you're going to come to a point where, like, damn, I'm 35 years old and I'm still trying to, I'm 40 years old. I'm still trying to, and then you're 45, 50, and like, damn, I just wasted all my time just trying to figure out something that you could seek therapy for it. There's things that are people that are out there that can help. There now you see YouTube channels, the positive ones at least, like this one, Shed Sade, that could shed some light to actually help somebody. So make sure that you're using your resources wisely.
Yeah.
So I had another question. What age did you seek marriage? I know you said something about when you were younger.
I probably knew all my life that I wanted marriage. I just didn't really act on it because, like I said, I wasn't a compliant person, and character defect sometimes is that I tend to listen to other people more than I listen to myself. So I don't think I actively started getting to the point where I like dated all that until I was like 27, 28, honestly.
Okay. So, well, that's probably when you were kind of ready then, if you want to say that.
Yeah, you could say, yeah, based upon that.
Yeah, because if you're thinking about marriage, you're like, ooh, I want to find me a husband. You out there seeking. So that was your age, your time that you were like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. Big asks, what do the coping mechanisms work like?
Which ones? When you mean?
So I think you're saying like when you're dealing with your own trauma, how do you cope?
Oh, okay. So, well, I'll say this. I actually, personally, I started 12-step probably right. I joined a 12-step program probably right when I got married. Because there was a lot of going on, just like the COVID thing, and that was super stressful. And then, anytime different families are coming together, there's different dynamics. I also, I'm in the Bay Area, California, which is really expensive, and so a lot of my friends left. My church had left and relocated, so it was like I feel like so much was changing, and I needed like a center. And so I kind of stumbled upon this program, and I remember going, I think like a meeting or two, and I was like, oh, this is really helping me, and it's kind of helping to give me a language or tools to know how to deal with certain emotions, or start to deal with, well, why do I think this way about myself, or why do I do these things? So I started that. I also started, I'm all for therapy. I found a therapist that I think is great, works for me.
Good.
I highly recommend that. And, also, as I mentioned, I grew up in church, but I think one of the reasons I've stayed, honestly, is because although there is a ton of trauma just associated with that, somewhere in my walk, God became very real to me. Your relationship with God became like very personal. And so that has been, I think, foundational as to helping to guide me to really what I feel like God put me on this earth to. Yeah. Getting married, these different things, even having this conversation here, like having that relationship with God, seeking daily direction, journaling has all been, I think, foundational as far as coping, right? And then all the other things that I mentioned are giving me tools and giving me strategies to know, okay, now when I am triggered, whether it's emotionally, right? You may have a flashback, or somebody says something that makes you feel a certain way that's really negative, or whatever it may be. Now I'm starting to learn how to pass through these things a little faster and then recover and still actually experience some peace.
Yeah. So, yeah. I like how you broke that down. That is true. There's a lot of different ways you can cope, but it really depends on your situation, because there's some situations that's more severe than others. So definitely seeking counseling is like the best way to get those coping ideas, because they have so much to share that you would be like, wow, I never thought of that. You'd be surprised. So definitely, the most important thing that Shez says was seeking God the Most High. That definitely does help a lot, because it just put a lot of things into perspective. And if you are a religious or spiritual person, you should probably seek there first, but don't say the Most High is going to bring me down a man and all this type of stuff. Let's put in the work, like I was saying. Make sure you're out there. Make sure you're putting yourself your best foot forward and your prayer together, and then go forward with that. So he says, for most, it's payback mixed with pay forward and a dash of madness sprinkled in the mix. Misery Loves Company says, I wanted to be married at 18. Wow. Not me.
I know that I wanted to be married. That I probably in retrospect, like if I'd actually did what I probably felt in my heart to do, I probably would have gotten married around college age. But when I say I was like shut down and like this is education time, I'm waiting on God, like I was literally like did not date, period.
Yeah, I have a friend that's like that. One of my bridesmaids, she literally was, when she was in school, she was like, like she had a boyfriend, but she was like, nope, I'm doing this. I don't care what he asked to marry me. We ain't getting married till I'm done with school. But she did eventually get married in her, I think she was like 26 or something like that. So it did work out for her. She got her school on and she got her career, and they're doing their thing now.
That's good.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, for working through it. Yes. Okay. A lot of folks don't, and it leads to them doing okay. Yeah. Misery Loves Company. Yeah, God is very important, especially if trauma is there. Yeah, you want to get rid of those things. And like you were saying earlier, there are ways when you get into a relationship, it does bring out all the trauma. That's my life. So when she said that, security boss, she was speaking through me, because that was me. That's exactly how all of my stuff came out. I did not know. I didn't know I had that type of thing going on. I know I had some type of trauma. I just didn't know it would affect anything. I'm like, it's the past, But then when I got with my husband now, girl, it came all out.
Yeah. And then he's gonna have his own stuff.
Yeah.
He's gonna have his own stuff too. So that's the whole other thing.
Yes, it's both. It's just, the thing is, when two people have trauma, it's like both of you guys have to be very mature to accept and help. And if you can't help, then find someone to help. Because a lot of people, when they go through their relationship with the trauma, they're bashing each other, and expecting so much. You can't go into a relationship when people go through things and expect them to do all this stuff. It doesn't make sense. Understand about mental health and say, hey, okay, cool, I see this is happening. What can we do to make it better? And that is what can help a strong marriage. You start working on those tactics and things at that point, and your marriage, you'll be able to handle anything, really.
Yeah.
Another question I have for you: why did you want to be married?
It just was a desire I always had. I don't think it was just maybe innate, God given. I mean, it's just, as a kid, I just knew I wanted to get married and have a family. It wasn't that deep.
Cinderella. Did that help? Cinderella helped you with that, huh?
Well, I did watch a ton of Disney, and I loved playing Barbie. I was like the girly girl, easy bake oven, love playing the heels and the Barbie dream house. Like that was me. So it was just something I wanted. I never really thought about it too deep.
Okay, well, that's just the natural part of being a woman, for the most part, for the ones who want to be married, straightforward. But yeah, that's amazing. So are you happy for the decision that you made, was to be a wife, because you're a wife now?
Yeah, definitely. I love being married. I prefer it to being single, if I'm being honest. Not to say that, singleness has its benefits at a certain time, but then like when you're over it, you're over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that's true. So how long have you been married, and do you have any kids?
No kids yet, and we'll be 2 years, coming up on 2 years.
Okay, well, that's good. That's I guess kind of fairly new, that people would say, but no, 2 years is a stretch. I know it went by fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
5.
Okay, Bella Ring said that was me too, Sade. So that's good. You got some people relating to you. But yeah, so thank you guys for being here. I just wanted to bring Shez on this platform because she has a lot to share. Also, if you could subscribe to her to her channel, if you could put her channel into the chat. Misery Loves Company says, nice. I like to see happy married couples. It's true. Because, girl, if you talk to some married couples, they're not, some people are just not in the right space. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, and to be fair, I think there was, because I saw a lot of it. I saw couples where it's just like, y'all are married and miserable. And I also don't want that. So I think if I'm just speaking about myself, there was a bit of a self-discovery process that I needed to go through, I think, before I could even really be, quite frankly, a good wife. And so that's why I'm not saying that I would encourage anyone to wait till they're like really, really, really old to get married. But I think it's more important that you have some basic tools or foundations before you say I do, because if you don't, it can blow up in your face. And I have know personally of stories that I have seen and witnessed of friends and different people who got married for the wrong reasons, and it literally blew up in their face and it became a fiasco. And this is why we have a red pill today, to a certain extent.
That's true.
So, quality is important. Age is ideal, but ideally we prepare these women so that when they do become of age, they can make the right decisions and it not ruin their life.
Yeah, that's true. Ruin their life, But I'm gonna leave it at that because it's so much that one part. But if you have any last words, unless that was your last words, if you want to promote your page, please do so.
No, this was great. I appreciate you having me on. I love that you have this channel, this whole idea, because just based upon the story that I mentioned to you earlier, I probably would have been a woman that wouldn't need to listen to you. When I was trying to figure out things. So that's what that's about. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have this conversation. If you guys want to learn more, you can always hang out on my channel, Shay Day, and TikTok. I think I have a Twitter. But yeah, come hang out.
Yes. They put your YouTube in the chat, so they would definitely go and do that. And other women like myself, she's here. There are other women too, but it's just more faces on this platform. Positive though. That's the key. So yes, we will definitely have you here again, and maybe we could do a couples live.
We'll see. I think my husband, if it was up to me, I would have been had him up front. But I think he's a little bit like, I don't know if I trust these people online. So, maybe eventually I can, pull him along long enough. But if not, if he is at the moment wanting to be anonymous, I will gladly come back on, or we can.
Okay. Yeah. Either way. I just brought my husband on the platform, by the way. I just brought him. I was doing it by myself, and I was like, yeah, it's time to come on. So yeah, he's on here now. His name is James. You'll see him. So that's why I was saying it will be me and him, and if your husband would like to join, type of thing.
I think eventually I'll be able to convince him, but right now he's happy being in the background.
Okay. Well, do your thing, girl. All right. So have a good rest of your day. All right.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, such a positive light. I met her on Chantel Simone's page. Yes, I met her there. And yeah, just a positive person. I always wanted to bring her on here to talk about her marriage because that's what my channel is, Dating to Marriage Support. Me and my husband support men and women in that area. If you are new here and you're just tuning in, my live is about to come to an end unless you want to call in. I did drop a link. But if not, I am going to be live again on Friday. That is my late live. I'm normally on here 2 hours plus. The last Friday I was on here for 4.5 hours. I'm going to keep saying that because that's the longest I've ever done a live. Also, you can catch me. I'm on Lapeef on Thursdays. Lapeef Let's Talk. You can look his channel up if you haven't been there. But I'm on his channel as well on Thursdays, his Thursday lives. But yeah, you'll be seeing me around, hopping on a whole bunch of lives just to network and everything. And I love what I do. I love meeting people online. So everyone that I have met, you guys are amazing. Yes. So, Precious is here. Girl, you can hop on too if you're ready. But no, yeah, I love this. I love networking on here. I never thought it would be this way. And also, my page is growing pretty rapidly. I didn't think that was going to happen. So thanks. If it wasn't for all of the mentors and all of the people that I have met on in the YouTube background, thank you so much for helping me push this channel. Thank you so much for encouraging me also to do what I'm doing. And yes, so D said he just subscribed to Cheshire Day. Yes. What up, yo? Salute to James. Yes, he you guys will be on the panel together one day soon. Look, if you don't see me, you're gonna see him. That's how it's gonna go eventually. Big says, good show, ladies. Thank you. James is that guy. Yes, respect the brother James. Yes, yes. Real Precious says, I missed it. I have to run it back. I gotta run a lot of your lives back for sure. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Real Precious. She brings a whole nother field to this platform. Simply amazing. Lapeef be having work shift live streams. Tell me about it. What up? Yes, I can't right now, but I would definitely watch it back. Yeah, I figured you couldn't. But yeah, yes. Hey, Big, okay. But she's having a live, what is today? Wednesday. She's having a live tonight at 9. I was supposed to be on that live, which is ladies' night, but you will see her and Michelle on there. I actually couldn't make it for later today, unfortunately, but I will be on the next one. So please go to her lives. They dropped her link. It is at 9 o'clock. So you could definitely see her there and see what she's about. All right, you guys, it was fun. Thanks for being here once again. But I will have to go. All right, you guys.
Artlist.io.
I believe one day, I believe in the future.
Music licensing reimagined.
I believe what you truly desire, you can bring to pass. All you need is a focus and a story to hold, and the faith that you can achieve what's inside your soul. Someday we'll make it on right. Other days we only can try. Either way, no matter what people say. Either way,
Artlist.io.
gonna get. Someday we'll make it on right. Someday. Other days we only can try. Either way, no matter what people say. Either way, we're gonna get better. Know that you can make it. Hold it tight, cause they will try to take it.
Music licensing reimagined.
But whatever you do, don't let them break it. Cause this moment's just a new chance to take into your own hands and shape the life you see inside your dreams. Oh, someday we'll make it on right. Someday. Other days we only can try. Either way, no matter what people say. Either way, we're gonna get.
Artlist.io.
Someday we'll make it on right. Someday we'll make it. Other days we only can try. Either way, no matter what people say. Either way, we're gonna get better. Oh, in your heart there lives a dream for your soul to master.
Music licensing
From the moment that
reimagined.
you breathe, get to chasing after, yeah. All that you want, all that you ever dreamed. You can make anything of this life. Someday we'll make it on right. Other days we only can someday try. We only try. No matter what people say. Either way, we're gonna get
Artlist.io.
someday. Other days we only can try. Other days, no matter what people say. No matter what they say, we gonna get. Someday we'll make it on time. Someday. Other days we only can try. Other days, no matter what people say.
Music licensing reimagined.
Someday we'll make